Guys, I have a brand new deck profile today. It is Subterror. Pretty excited about this. Like the deck a lot. Is one of the more enjoyable control decks to play in the meta for certain. A lot more enjoyable than I say Sky Strikers, but that's just my opinion. Let's get started. We're gonna go with 3 copies of Subterror Guru. This, I would say this is the best card in the deck, but there are a lot of very good cards in the deck, and you have to go through all of them in a turn. But this is definitely one of your main combo starters. Basically, this card, when it's flipped, you get to add a Subterror card from your deck to your hand. And it is Subterror card, so it can be trap, monster, spell. Doesn't matter. It's just really, really crazy. I can't believe they printed that on there. I mean, it is a flip effect monster, so it is a little slow, so they get a little more leeway with printing broken cards. But definitely one of the effects that you definitely want to go through in every single turn, including actually your opponent's turn too. And then additionally, this card can target this itself and another monster on face up that's face up on the field and book it face down. So you can book one of your own Subterror monsters or your opponent's monster. And in addition to that, if you control another Subterror monster, this becomes a quick effect, which is really, really cool. It's great interruption. It's great for booking something like, let's say for example, in an extra deck zone, and then your opponent can't like link climb or do anything. It's very good when your opponent is going for guard dragon plays and they activate LP and they summon Red Eyes Darkness Metal Dragon, and you book they summon LP, they summon Red Eyes Darkness Metal Dragon, they activate its effect, you go, oh okay, I'm just gonna book it, and then they can't like link climb out of that, and that whole area, that whole side of their game plan is like all shut off, which is really cool. But that is Subterror Guru. Next, we play 3 copies of Fiendus. Definitely another card. It depends on what your opening hand is, but this is usually the card that you want to search off of Guru. So the effect of this is that during either player's turn, when your opponent activates a card effect, you can flip a Subterror card face down, Subterror monster face down, and then negate the activation of that card. It doesn't destroy, but it negates. And then its other effect is that you can flip one of your Subterror monsters face down, and you can special summon from your hand or graveyard a Subterror monster, which is another pretty crazy effect. So the effects of this card are just nuts, and you can use each effect once per turn, so you can use both, which is like, you think about this stuff, it's like kind of broken. But yeah, definitely one of the better cards. So definitely you want to search. First thing you want to do is get to this, and then immediately get to this, because this is like a negate. It's just beautiful. It's a great like in archetype interruption. Next, we play 1 copy of Subterror Nemesis Archer. I was at first testing too, but my problem with this card is it really is like a going second, or even like I would even say like going like third card. It's like a card that's very good later in the game once you start setting stuff up, but until then it's like a little bit weird. But basically the effect of this card is that when you declare an attack on a face down monster, you just shuffle into the deck. So automatically it's a +1 right there, and it's like non-targeting removal. You just shuffle it back, which is really, really cool. I'm sorry. And then in addition, when this card is destroyed by battle or card effect, you can summon a Subterror monster from your deck, which is really good. Sometimes you can like crash this, like let's say you get it not so great going second hand, you can actually crash this into your opponent's monster, and then you can set a Guru, or you can set, one of the bigger ones that I'm about to show you. But overall, it's pretty decent. We play 3 different of Subterror behemoths. I'm going to go through them. Basically, the Subterror behemoths, I'll just put one face down so you guys can look at it. They all have one similar effect, which is when a Subterror monster goes face down and you control no other face up monsters, you can special summon them in face up defense position. That's effect number 1 that they have, which is really cool. All of them have another effect, which is that if this card is like face up on the field, you can flip it face down. That is not a quick effect. It is an ignition effect that you have to activate. But they can flip themselves face down afterwards, which is really good. And then all of them have a cool flip effect. So Umatrix, you can target a monster and then banish it face down. This is Ultra Mafus. You can change all face-up monsters on the field to face-down defense position, which is like crazy nuts, like so good. against guard dragons and so good against Orcus. Like it's so good against so many decks because it can book things in extra monster zones. It can book things in a lot of their lanes. And if you remember, you can't actually special summon with you can't link summon with monsters that are you can't you can't link summon with monsters that are booked face down. So sometimes they'll do something like normal summon a ray, and you'll force them to special summon with that ray, and like you'll force a lot of weird stuff out, a lot of weird plays, but definitely a pretty crazy card. And then we play the Volteric. Sorry about the pronunciations. I don't. These are weird names. But basically, you can target one set monster your opponent controls, and then take control of it until the end phase. But if you have been playing Yu-Gi-Oh for a really long time, if you take your opponent's monster and then you flip it face down on your side of the field and then flip it face up, it actually becomes your monster and you get to keep it forever, which is really, really cool. You can keep some really interesting big monsters, and that definitely is a lot of fun. If you want to, this monster's a Thunder, and you can play like a Thunder package, which I was doing before. The Thunder, I used to play Colossus in this build, as this is a Thunder, but it gets a little weird and bricky. But that is it for the Subterror monsters. We just play two other monsters, which is Ghost Ogre. Play 5 total hand traps. I also play impermanents, but that is in the trap card section. Ghost Ogre is very good right now in this meta. Is very good for interrupting Guard Dragon plays, among other decks. Good against, like, actually, it's good in the mirror match. Really good in the mirror match because it stops Hidden City. Most atrocious cards out there. On activation, it searches a Subterror monster. Always going to be Guru. Basic combo is you activate Hidden City, you search Guru, you are going to set the Guru, activate Hidden City's other effect, flip Guru, you can flip it into attack or face-up defense, and then automatically you get a free search for Fiendus. So right off of that you get a +2. It's a negate, a Guru, which is amazing, and then the Hidden City. So it's a +2 right there. You get a free negate. It's a free searchable negate, and then you can just book this with the Fiendus and then use this the following turn. So the other effect of this card, like I said, is you can flip a face down monster face up, and then its final effect, and it's the least good of its effects, which is that you can it's like a negate attack. So when they attack a face down defense position monster, you can negate the attack and then flip it face up, and then usually it's a Guru or one of these other monsters, and you get the search. So you get a lot of flipping out of this awesome card. You play 1 Terraforming because it's at 1. You'd play 3 if you could. And then for our draw power, we play 3 copies of Pot of Extravagance, best draw spell for this deck that you could possibly play. It's like it's built for this deck, honestly. You play 3 copies of Pot of Duality because, again, we want to get to our main combo, which is Guru. You want to get to the field spell. You just want to get to certain things. There are certain things that you want to get to, and you must get to those few things. Then we play 3 copies of Call by the Grave. This card does great against a variety of matchups, just on its own, but also you have to protect the Guru. So you gotta make sure Guru goes through. For the trap cards, we play 2 copies of Subterror Final Battle. Again, a pretty amazing card. So your priority list is you want to start with Hidden City, and if you start with let's say you start with Hidden City and Guru, you're gonna want end on the the Fiendus and possibly the Final Battle. But your priority is always to go Hidden City, then Subterror Guru, then the Subterror Fiendus, and then the Subterror Final Battle. That is the lane that you want to take every single time. It's the last card. This is the last card that you want to search in this lane. But basically, this card has 4 effects, and after you activate it, it gets flipped right back face down, so you can use it the following turn. It's you can't make this stuff up. So effect has 4 effects. 1 effect to flip face down monsters face up. 1 effect to flip face up monsters face down. You have another effect to combine the attack and defense of a Subterror monster, which if you ever seen, this is 3400. Let me just show you some of the others, because some of these numbers get huge. Look at this, 48. You can't make this. It's incredible. What is this, 57? 47, I'm sorry. But yeah, some of these monsters have like the craziest attack. It's almost to the point where you don't even need to go into your extra deck to summon boss monsters, because this card makes every single Subterror monster a boss monster. It's really really scary. And then also it has an effect where Subterror effects can't be negated, and that one is usually the one you use the least. The only time you would use that is if you have multiple copies of these and you don't want, and you're playing against like a back row heavy deck or something. But usually you're not going to use that effect. Then we're playing more annoying stuff to harass our opponent. We're playing 3 copies of Judgment because it's legal, and this is a very much going first deck. 3 copies of Strike, again, very good. Just because we have to interrupt a little bit, we play 3 copies of Impermanence. So we have the Ghost Ogre and the Impermanence, 5 hand traps. It's usually you draw a hand trap in your opening hand, you can interrupt a combo board, so you don't have to deal with a huge Guard Dragon board. And then the following turn, you start setting up your Subterra stuff, and then you're off to the races basically. And then finally, we play 3 copies of There Can Only Be One. Basically, each player can only control one type of monster. I'm not type. Yeah, type of monster. Let's mixed up type and attribute for a second there. One type of monster. If you notice, they're all different types. So this is a dragon. It's really random. This is a reptile. This is a pyro. This is a fairy. I mean, they're literally all different. This is a spellcaster. They are all different types. Every single one of them is basically a different type, as long as you don't summon 2 of them. And you got to remember, if you have one face down, then technically it doesn't count as that type. So if you're really smart about it, you can even have 2 of the exact same monster on the field at the same time. And as long as one of them is face down and one of them is face up, you can keep them on the field. So you can actually have a guru if you have a high IQ. You can actually have a guru and a face down guru, and you can like do crazy things where you like, whoops, where you book this guru and then you flip this guru and you search with this guru, and you can do all types of nonsense like that, where you can even have multiple gurus under the There Can Only Be One, as long as one of them is face down. And then we play another blowout card there, Goes in Match. I like 5s because if you play some stuff at 5s, you're likely to draw like, one of them, but not everything at once. We play 2 copies of Goes in Match. If you haven't noticed, also, everything is Earth. If There Can Only Be One isn't annoying enough for them, you can Goes in Match, and then they're basically screwed. Like, this covers both bases. It covers decks that have a variety of cards, and it covers decks that have a small archetype, I guess. So if you're playing against something like Guard Dragons, where they play a bunch of different types, Goes in Match is great. And then There Can Only Be One is good against Salamangreats, and a variety of it's good against Sky Strikers, because they go into one of their machines, and then you activate this, and they can't go into anything else. They're kind of stuck where they are. But definitely, that is the main deck. It's really, really a potent deck. More going first, but you can definitely go second. There's stuff you can do, especially with the bigger monsters. Then we go to the extra deck. We play 3 copies of Subterror. The extra deck, honestly, you can work on. If anything, you can adjust in here is the extra deck. So the Subterror Behemoth Fiendus is one of those cards that you summon once you're already winning. But basically, it's 2 flip monsters. It gains the attack of the levels of those monsters. Sometimes you have these gigantic monsters with like huge levels with like 9s, 10s, and she gets crazy attack. But on top of that, you can send a flip monster to the graveyard, and then you can special summon a flip monster from your hand in face up defense position. Also, when when a flip monster is flipped face up, you can add flip monster to your hand. So again, this is more of like a I'm already winning and now I'm really going to destroy you card. But it's not a card that you really want to go first turn into, because this deck isn't that explosive. But like turn 3, 4, like this card finishes duels, so it's really, really good for that purpose. Then we play some utility cards. 1 copy of Linkaribo. This is for what's her name, Fiendus. 2 All Mirages, and most of the stuff's going to get banished, let's be honest. 1 Phoenix, 1 Cerberus, 1 Soldier of Chaos, 1 Appaloosa, Boral Sword, Boral Load, Mech Knight, Avermax, and then 2 Topological Huge Monster, the Zorbro something. But basically, you play a decent amount of Link 4 boss monsters, and then just utility cards. It's basically half utility, half Link 4 boss monsters. I don't play Super Polymerization anymore, Super Polymerization, to be 100% honest with you, it sounds good on paper in this deck, but the issue with Super Polymerization is that typically you set a bunch of back row, and the last card you have in your hand is a Subterror Fiendus, and Subterror Fiendus is both a combo card and a negate, and you really don't want to lose that Subterror Fiendus to use like a fusion summon. Sometimes you lose them. Like it really only is good going second. If you draw it and you haven't banished anything, then it's good. But that is the extra deck, and then we're going to go over the side deck if I find it here. It's a lot of stuff to go second. Basically, we play 3 copies of Artifact Lancia against Orcust and, what they call it? Thunder Dragon. Annoying matchups. Nibiru, because it's one of the best side deck cards. You might even want to main deck it, to be honest with you. It's so good. It's another kind of, it's good. It's good against combo decks. Play 3 copies of Dark Ruler No More. Again, this card, like, it helps break boards. They set up this huge field where, you're, in theory, you shouldn't be able to do anything, but then you activate this and they can't respond because they play a deck with no spell and trap cards, and then you can go through all of your Guru plays and have a blast. Doesn't even matter. Against similar decks, we play 3 copies of Red Reboot. This is good against all types of back row decks. Extremely good. And then also for more back row decks, you play Evenly Matched. Red Reboot and Evenly Matched. Good against back row decks, and really potent, really potent in combination with the Dark Ruler No More and then Evenly Matched, and they basically lose, because then you only need like 2 cards in this deck to really do well. As long as you have a Hidden City, you always have a +2 on board, which is pretty broken. But that is it. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you give this deck a try. It's definitely worth playing at least a few times, or even making it your central deck. But thank you for watching, and it's very cheap now, with the exception of maybe 2 cards. But thank you for watching, and enjoy your day.